Hey guys, welcome back to Rum and Board. I'm still Haak, and today we're going to be talking about Cthulhu Wars. This game is really cool. Elder jokes. Most games set in the Lovecraftian universe cast you and your fellow players as a team of regular people, desperately trying to prevent one or more great old ones from awakening and thereby destroying reality, while trying to avoid the insanity that comes from witnessing these outer things and their minions. It's a tense setting, where you're acutely aware that you're little more than a paper bag, attempting to resist a force that cannot be contained in our limited universe. Cthulhu Wars is not one of those games. Came in like a wrecking ball. Instead of a mewling bag of flesh and emotion, Cthulhu Wars puts you in charge of an Elder God's entire faction, which you'll use to battle the other players' factions in a race to destroy the world the fastest. Make promises, kick ass, chew bubblegum, doom the universe. Cthulhu Wars is an asymmetric game, like Chaos in the Old World, which means that every faction looks and feels completely different. This game's also a free-for-all. You'll have to convince the other players to go along with your schemes if you want to win, or convince them to fight each other instead of you. Set up the map. This sucker's huge, 2 parts, so make sure your table's been hitting the gym recently. In the corner of each side of the map, you'll see how many players that side of the map is designed to support. For 3-faction play, use 2 3-player sides. For 4-faction play, use 1 3-player and 1 5-player side. For 5-faction play, obviously use 2 5-player sides. Maybe use one of your X's as the 5th faction. Their X is on par with Cthulhu in terms of being an unspeakable horror that is hellbent on destroying our reality. Each player picks a faction and gets the associated faction boards, spellbooks, power markers, and maxi-figs. Oh god. Set up the Doom track and the Ritual of Annihilation track for your number of factions. Look for the symbol on your faction sheet. Put 6 acolyte cultists and a gate on the area of the map with that symbol. That's your starting area. Put the Elder Signs in the Elder Sign sack. Lol, Elder Sign sack. Cthulhu nuts. Getting your bearings. Cthulhu Wars is a little more complicated than most of the other games we've played here, so stick with me as I get a little bit technical, baby. The first thing you should know is that you'll have a limited amount of power. This is not a post-scarcity world, it's a post-world world. You'll use your power to do things like build up your army, send it places, and ruin your opponent's day. Your ultimate goal, in a truly daring design choice, is to get more Doom points than your opponents. Doom points! It's very important that you recognize that these are not victory points. They're the opposite of victory points. They're Doom points. The best way to get Doom points is by controlling gates. Controlling gates not only gives you more Doom points, it also gives you more power to spend during the action phase of the next turn. So you can do more and more badass stuff, and nobody can stop you. Until everyone and their drunk uncle gangs up on you to take you down a notch. Each faction has a slew of uniquely horrible goals to accomplish before they can win. Completing these goals can award bonus Doom points and faction-specific abilities. You'll need to prioritize completing these goals against the main goal of defending your gates and capturing enemies' gates. The game comes with 4 factions, but you can get 3 more as expansions if you pay the low cost of your immortal soul. No refunds. Crawling Chaos is all about mobility and striking opportunistically. Yellow Sign are nomads, wandering the world in search of fresh land to desecrate. Black Goat is for fans of Eurogames. And of course, Great Cthulhu just destroys everything it can reach. Anatomy of an Elder God. Each faction gets its own faction board, which lists the costs and abilities of each of its units, and lists the faction's horrible goals. The faction board also has the power track, which, in another bold departure from expectation, tracks your power. Factions also get their own spellbooks. These are unlocked over the course of the game as you complete your faction-specific goals, and give you, your faction-specific monsters, and your faction-specific great old ones, horrible, terrible, unique faction-specific abilities to ruin your faction-specific opponents' already apocalyptic days. You can't win unless you've gotten all of your faction-specific spellbooks. Once you do, your faction-specific faction will rule the world. You can control gates with cultists. Controlling gates with cultists lets you summon monsters from the void between. Controlling gates also gives you more power, which lets you get your Eldritch beatdown on even more. Controlling gates is also the primary way to get doom points. So you want to control as many gates as possible by any means necessary. Elder Sign tokens. You'll get these over the course of the game, primarily by completing your goals. They're kept secret and are worth 1, 2, or 3 doom points when revealed. Holy Cthulhu, Batman! We've covered so much stuff already and haven't even gotten to how you actually play. Get turned. The game is played in a series of turns, which consist of 3 phases, one of which consists of rounds. Someday, those terms will be f***ing standardized, but until then, games use them completely arbitrarily and generally wrongly. The 3 phases of each turn are the Gather Power phase, the Doom phase, and the Action phase. In the Gather Power phase, you're going to, wait for it, gather power for your turn. In the Doom phase, you'll get doom points. And in the Action phase, you'll take rounds, spending your power to do kick-ass shit, like summon monsters from the deep and have them fight like rampaging monster trucks. First, the Gather Power phase. Give yourself 1 power for every one of your cultists on the map, 2 power for each gate you control, and 1 power for each gate that nobody controls. At the start of the game, this means you'll get 8 power. If you captured somebody else's cultist during the last turn, hand them back now, and give yourself 1 power for each. Nobody can have less than half the highest power of any player. If you were below that, you're not anymore, so you can still kind of survive and do stuff, even if you got mostly destroyed last turn. Come back from the brink, Frank. All you have to do is ask for help. Whoever has the most power becomes the first player. Ties are broken by whoever was the first player last. In the first turn, Great Cthulhu goes first. The first player determines play order, clockwise or widdershins. Next, the Doom phase. During the first turn, skip this phase entirely. Otherwise, you'll get 1 Doom point for every gate you control. Each player also has the opportunity to perform a ritual of annihilation, if you can afford it. To perform a ritual, you pay the current cost as shown on the ritual track. Then, move the ritual marker forward 1 and get an additional set of Doom points for each of your controlled gates. You'll also get 1 Elder Sign for each of your Great Old Ones on the map. Oh, by the way, if the ritual track ever reaches the end, the world explodes and the game is over! Well done. Finally, the Action phase. Start with the first player and repeatedly go around in a circle, with each player performing 1 action at a time. Once someone is out of power, they can't play anymore, and once everyone is out of power, the phase ends. There's no way to roll over your power into the next turn. The possible actions. Recruit a cultist. Take one of your cultists not on the map and place it in an area where you already have a unit. If all your cultists are already on the board, you probably shouldn't take this action. Build a gate anywhere you have a cultist. There cannot be more than 1 gate per area. Gates can never be destroyed, but they can be left uncontrolled if their cultist pieces out. They probably forgot to buy enough toilet paper for the apocalypse. Summon a monster into an area with a gate you control. Each faction has unique monsters with different summoning costs, combat strength, and unique abilities, and different hobbies. This Dark Young, for example, really likes long walks at the beach at night, but this Shoggoth is more of a banjo aficionado. Awaken a Great Old One. Terms and conditions apply. Consult your faction card for details. Move. Move as many of your units as you want anywhere on the board from their current areas into adjacent areas. No unit is allowed to move twice in 1 move action. Pay 1 power per unit you moved. You can move into another player's area without fighting them. Hopefully. Battle. Choose an area and have all of your units in that area battle all of an opponent's units in that area. Each player rolls a number of dice equal to their total combat strength in that area. 1s, 2s, and 3s are ignored. 4s and 5s inflict a pain result on the opponent, and 6s inflict a kill on the opponent. Each player decides how to apply their opponent's results to their own units. Kills first, then pains. Killed units are removed from the board and placed back in unit reserves. Pained units must retreat from that area into an adjacent area that doesn't have any units from the faction they just battled. Retreating into your enemies is so dumb that the game doesn't allow it, and I don't allow it either. If there's nowhere for your units to retreat, one of your units sadly dies instead. Watch out for the pre- and post-battle abilities listed on your faction card and spellbooks. Capture a cultist. Use a monster or Great Old One to capture an opponent's cultist in the same area. This is a tasty snack. Don't eat the figure. Monsters can capture cultists if there are no defending monsters. Great Old Ones can capture cultists even if there are defending monsters. But they can't capture cultists if there's a defending Great Old One. And of course, you can do any special actions that your spellbooks provide you. You are going to have to read a little bit. The Spelling Bee. If you're anything like me, that is vaguely interested in the collapse of this capitalist society, you'll have been intrigued by these spellbooks that keep coming up. What are they? Where did they come from? What do they do? Alas, we can only answer the final question. Spellbooks provide your faction with unique abilities to aid their particular brand of destruction. You earn a spellbook as soon as you meet any of the criteria listed on your faction sheet. Pick any spellbook you like, and then place it on the goal you've just completed. Once it's on your sheet, you gain its benefits, which can be terrifying to your opponents. For example, Yellow Sign can get the Screaming Dead, which allows one of its Great Old Ones to perform 2 actions in a single round. You need to acquire all 6 spellbooks to win the game. And as a sweet bonus, having all 6 spellbooks allows you to declare battle in addition to another action in a single round. OP, Cthulhu. OP. At World's End. There are 2 ways for Cthulhu Wars to end. A player can trigger the end by getting to 30 Doom points, which can happen during the Doom phase or at any point when a player decides to cash in their Elder Signs. The other way the game can end is if you perform too many Rituals of Annihilation. Each time someone performs a ritual, the ritual marker moves forward. Once it reaches the suggestively named Instant Death space, the game ends. Either way, everyone reveals all the rest of their hidden Elder Signs, and the player with the most Doom points wins. But like I said before, you can't win no matter what unless you have all 6 of your spellbooks, so don't forget to complete those faction-specific goals. So that's Chartreuse Floors, the game about cleaning up after a frat party. So that's Old Blue Drawers, the game about stinky underpants in vibrant colors. So that's Coldplay Scores, where you write their next whiny pop single. So that's Cthulhu Wars, the game of abominations and terror disguised as risk. Click through to watch us ply our Lovecraft with alcohol, but before you do, like this video if you've always suspected that your sibling was secretly an elder thing hell-bent on your destruction, subscribe to us to watch us play more sweet games, and if you're feeling particularly tentacly, why not leave a comment letting us know what game we should play next. I'll see you next time, but until then, play responsibly.
Today we are drinking Tentaclers with Elder God Essence.
With Elder God Essence? Hey, you stole my line.
I didn't think you were gonna do it.
Alright, we're gonna do that one more time. It's turn to one.
So, that's Chartreuse Floors.
Chartreuse Floors?
Yeah,
Were you raised in a barn? Chartreuse. Water, water.